The sun sank low, casting long shadows over the courtyard where the Buddha sat in meditative stillness. His disciples surrounded him, their eyes filled with anticipation, awaiting the wisdom that would soon flow from their master. The breeze carried the fragrance of blooming jasmine, mingling with the sense of quiet reverence. I approached the Buddha, my heart heavy with confusion, seeking guidance amidst the complexities of life's uncertainties. He opened his eyes, his gaze meeting mine with boundless compassion that dissolved my turmoil instantly. I bowed deeply, my voice trembling with both respect and vulnerability. "Blessed One," I began, "I have sought meaning within the endless maze of suffering. Yet clarity eludes me at every turn." The Buddha raised his hand gently, motioning for me to sit before him, the weight of my worries dissipating. "You seek meaning," he said softly, his voice a soothing current. "Yet meaning resides not in the maze, but in awakening." I looked at him, uncertain how to unearth this awakening amid the chaos of everyday struggles. "Master," I asked, "how does one awaken while tethered to the ceaseless challenges of existence?" He smiled faintly, a gesture neither dismissive nor pitying, but profoundly understanding of human frailty. "The challenges," he replied, "are not obstacles but teachers, guiding you toward liberation through the lens of insight." His words settled around me like dew on grass, quenching the thirst for understanding I had carried within. "Master," I whispered, "how do I learn from pain when it consumes the mind and hardens the heart against others?" The Buddha's expression softened further, as though to cradle the essence of my question in its fullest vulnerability. "Pain," he explained, "is the ember from which compassion ignites, illuminating the shared fabric of all beings suffering." His hand traced a simple arc in the air, reflecting the cycles of birth, suffering, and liberation. To embrace pain without resistance is to transform its bitterness into the nectar of connection. With all existence, I found myself leaning closer, the magnitude of his teachings drawing me deeper into a realm of possibility. "Yet, Master," I persisted, "is it not overwhelming to face the suffering of others while grappling with our own?" He nodded slowly, acknowledging the enormity of the human experience. "It is overwhelming," he admitted, "when the self clings to separation, forgetting its unity with the whole." He gestured toward the Bodhi tree under which he once attained enlightenment, its roots intertwining invisibly with the earth below. "Like these roots," he said, "each being is interwoven with the other, nourished not in isolation but through shared existence." A disciple nearby, Subhuti, interjected softly, his voice filled with awe. "Master, how do we embody this interconnectedness in our daily lives?" The Buddha turned to Subhuti, his tone unchanged in its gentleness and precision. "Begin with the practice of metta, the loving kindness that flows unconditionally toward oneself and all beings." His words, though simple, vibrated with transformative power, as though awakening dormant wisdom within each of us. He then turned back to me, his gaze as steady as a still lake beneath a starry sky. "To radiate compassion," he continued, "is to dissolve the illusion of self and other, entering the boundless realm of oneness." I felt a flicker of something I could not yet name, an embryonic understanding that felt simultaneously ancient and new. "Master," I said, my voice quivering with hope, "if compassion begins within, how do we nurture it amidst the distractions of life?" The Buddha raised his hand again, this time pointing toward the horizon where the sun now neared its final descent. "As the sun rises and sets without attachment, so must we act with compassion without expectation of return." His analogy resonated deeply, casting light on a part of my heart long shrouded in the darkness of longing. "But what of the anger that springs unbidden in moments of despair?" I asked, my brow furrowed with the familiar weight of such emotions. He paused, his silence a container for the unspoken questions carried by all present. Anger, he began, his tone unwavering, is the shadow of unmet desires, clouding the clarity of the present moment. He cupped his hands, as though holding something fragile yet profound, and spoke again. To meet anger with mindfulness is to disarm its hold, allowing insight to emerge from its ashes. The disciples around us nodded in solemn agreement, their faces reflecting their own struggles with such emotions. I sat silently, letting his words settle into the deeper recesses of my consciousness where answers often remain hidden. The Buddha, sensing my internal reflection, leaned forward slightly, his next words carrying the weight of 1,000 lifetimes. The suffering you experience, he said, is both your challenge and your guide, a sacred teacher pointing the way home. A tear slipped down my cheek, not of sorrow but of gratitude, for the teachings that transcended the boundaries of mere language. Blessed One, I said, my voice steadying, you have shown me the door to awakening. How shall I open it? He smiled for the first time that evening, a subtle yet radiant gesture that seemed to encompass all of existence. Through practice, he replied, his voice like a songbird's call at dawn. Each mindful breath is a step through that door. The sun, now a fiery orb on the horizon, illuminated the courtyard in hues of gold and crimson. The air seemed to vibrate with a sacred stillness, as though the universe itself paused to honor the moment. Remember, he added, his gaze lifting toward the heavens. Awareness is the key to transformation. Let it guide your every step. His words lingered in the air long after they were spoken, weaving into the fabric of our collective consciousness. The disciples began to rise, their faces serene, each carrying the Buddha's teachings within their hearts like a sacred flame. I remained seated, my hands folded in silent reverence, my spirit renewed by the infinite compassion of the Buddha's wisdom. The night descended, cool and enveloping, as the stars began to emerge, bearing witness to the timeless teachings shared beneath their gaze. Another day, another quiet morning in the monastery. The Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree, his presence calming the surroundings. Disciples gathered in silence, their hearts eager to hear the Master's teachings, yearning for clarity amidst life's challenges. I approached with cautious steps, holding a question that had weighed heavily on my mind for days. Blessed One, I began, my voice soft, yet charged with urgency. How do we escape the illusions that trap our minds? The Buddha turned his gaze to me, his eyes filled with compassion that seemed to embrace not just me, but all beings. Illusions arise, he said gently, when the mind grasps at shadows, mistaking them for reality. Do not chase what cannot be held. I nodded, trying to grasp the profound simplicity of his words. Yet my mind struggled to untangle its own web. Master, I continued, what of the illusions born from desire? From wanting what we cannot have? He raised his hands slowly, tracing circles in the air, his movements deliberate, his teachings unwavering. Desire, he explained, is like a mirage in the desert. It promises water, yet leads us deeper into thirst. His words struck a chord within me, resonating with experiences of longing that had left me disoriented and lost. The Buddha turned to the disciples, his voice steady, his wisdom reaching all who listened with open hearts. To free oneself from illusions, he said, one must cultivate mindfulness, seeing clearly what arises without grasping at it. Ananda, seated nearby, leaned forward, his curiosity evident. Master, he asked, how does one begin to cultivate such mindfulness? The Buddha's lips curved into a subtle smile, his patience infinite, his teachings unwavering. Begin with breath, he instructed, for the breath carries you into the present moment, where illusion cannot take hold. The disciples murmured amongst themselves, reflecting on this simple yet profound practice. its transformative potential igniting hope. I lowered my head, letting his words sink into the depths of my consciousness, like seeds planting themselves in fertile soil. Master, I said hesitantly, what of the fear that arises when illusions shatter, exposing truths we were unprepared to face? The Buddha paused, his silence holding the fullness of our collective questioning. Fear, he said softly, is the gatekeeper of truth, urging you to step forward with courage and humility. Embrace it without resistance. His answer illuminated an inner darkness I had carried, revealing the path of growth hidden within discomfort and vulnerability. But Master, I persisted, what if truth brings pain? A burden too heavy to bear? The Buddha's expression softened, his gaze steady, his presence unwavering, like the root of the Bodhi tree before him. Pain, he said firmly, as a teacher, revealing what the heart must learn to open. Resistance only deepens its sting. He turned to Subhuti, who sat quietly, absorbing every word, his face a mirror of contemplation. Subhuti, the Buddha said, what does pain teach you when you meet it with awareness, rather than recoil? Subhuti raised his head, his voice trembling but resolute. Master, it teaches me that impermanence is the thread that binds all things. The Buddha nodded, his approval silent but palpable. I leaned forward, a question forming within me, though doubt held it back for moments before finally emerging. Master, I asked, if impermanence is the ultimate truth, how do we find lasting peace amidst its ever-changing tide? He gestured toward the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky, their distant light eternal yet fleeting. Peace, he said, arises not from clinging to permanence, but from embracing impermanence as the essence of existence itself. His voice carried the weight of ancient wisdom, yet felt as light as the air we breathed in reverence. To grasp this truth, he continued, you must let go of the self, for the self is the illusion itself. Ananda nodded, his understanding slowly unfolding like the petals of a lotus blooming in a still pond. Master, he asked, what is the first step in letting go of the self? The Buddha's gaze shifted to Ananda, his teachings resonating with profound clarity. Practice selfless action, he said, for when you act with compassion, the self dissolves. I closed my eyes, reflecting deeply on his words, feeling the stirrings of transformation within my restless heart. Blessed One, I said after a pause, is there a way to see through illusion without losing hope in the face of truth? The Buddha inclined his head, his kindness a bridge connecting my doubt to the shores of understanding. Hope, he said, is not lost in truth, for truth is the foundation upon which hope flourishes. Free from illusion's grasp, his teachings lingered in the air, like the faint echo of a temple bell resonating long after its strike. Remember, he added, the heart finds strength not in hiding from truth but in embracing its wisdom. The disciples exchanged quiet glances, their faces reflecting both the struggles and the insights sparked by the Buddha's words. The night deepened, its silence expansive, as though the universe itself paused to listen to the timeless teachings. The Buddha rose slowly, his movements fluid, his presence commanding yet gentle. He turned once more to us. His disciples gathered like stars in his orbit, seeking the light of his guidance. Illusion is the veil, he said, but truth is the light that burns through the veil, revealing the path home. His words settled within us, their depth transcending the limits of language, weaving into the fabric of our beings. We bowed deeply, our gratitude boundless, our commitment to the practice renewed by the Buddha's infinite compassion and wisdom. As the moon rose high above, its light silver and serene, I walked away, my heart lightened, my spirit awakened. The Buddha's teachings echoed within me, guiding each step, each breath, each thought toward liberation. Another day, another evening bathed in golden hues. The Buddha sat in tranquil reflection beneath the ancient Bodhi tree. Disciples gathered quietly, the soft rustling of leaves echoing their anticipation for the wisdom the Master would share. I approached, my steps deliberate, my heart yearning for clarity on the suffering that shadows the human spirit. Blessed One, I began, bowing deeply. How can transformation arise when one feels consumed by the darkness of suffering? The Buddha turned his gaze to me, his eyes steady, his compassion enveloping not just me but the entire gathering. Transformation, he said gently, is like the lotus that blooms in the mud, nourished by the very soil of suffering. I nodded, absorbing the depth of his words. Yet the weight of doubt lingered within me. Seeking further understanding, Master, I continued, what is the first step in navigating suffering to uncover the path of transformation? He raised his hand, his gesture calm and deliberate, his teachings a beacon of light piercing through the veil of despair. The first step, he said, is acceptance. For resistance to suffering only strengthens its grip and blinds the heart to truth. His voice resonated like a temple bell, its clarity unveiling layers of wisdom hidden beneath life's turmoil. I lowered my head, letting his words settle deep into the chambers of my restless mind, where questions continued to stir. Master, I whispered hesitantly, how does one accept suffering without succumbing to its weight, without losing the will to move forward? His gaze softened further, his presence unwavering, his answer carrying the wisdom of countless lifetimes. To accept suffering, he explained, is not to surrender to it, but to witness it with the clarity of mindful awareness. A disciple named Subhuti leaned forward, his face a reflection of contemplation, his curiosity ignited by the teachings. Master, Subhuti asked, what role does the Eightfold Path play in guiding one toward transformation? The Buddha turned to Subhuti, his voice gentle yet firm, his teachings unfolding with the precision of a sculptor chiseling marble. The Eightfold Path, he said, is the map that guides the way, illuminating each step through mindful action and virtuous thought. Subhuti nodded, his understanding deepening, his commitment to the practice renewed by the Master's wisdom. I remained seated, my thoughts swirling with the enormity of the path, wondering how to begin such a profound journey. Blessed One, I said after a pause, the path seems long and arduous. How does one sustain the will to persevere? The Buddha smiled faintly, his expression reflecting both the simplicity and depth of the answer he would offer. Perseverance, he said, arises from the heart that sees beyond the self, guided by compassion for all beings. His words resonated deeply, stirring an embryonic understanding within me of the interconnected nature of existence. Master, I said softly, how does compassion transform suffering into a force that liberates rather than binds? The Buddha gestured toward the horizon, where the setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and gold, its light unwavering. Compassion, he explained, is the alchemy that transmutes suffering into wisdom, dissolving the boundaries between self and other. Ananda, seated nearby, raised his hand respectfully, his curiosity evident as he asked his question. Master, Ananda said, how do we cultivate compassion in moments when suffering blinds the heart to its radiance? The Buddha turned to Ananda, his voice as calm as a still pond, his teachings reaching directly into the essence of the question. Begin with metta, he said, radiating loving kindness to yourself. For compassion must first bloom within before it can extend outward. Ananda nodded, his face reflecting the illumination brought by the simplicity of the practice, its profound implications clear. The Buddha turned back to me, his gaze steady, his next words carrying the clarity of the stars emerging in the darkening sky. To practice compassion, he said, is to walk the path of transformation, where suffering becomes the seed of liberation. The disciples murmured amongst themselves, their voices a chorus of contemplation and agreement, each reflecting on their own journey. I sat in silence, my heart lightened by the teachings, my mind slowly weaving the threads of understanding together. The Buddha, sensing the stillness settling within us all, rose slowly, his movements fluid and deliberate. He turned to the gathering, his presence commanding yet gentle, his voice carrying the weight of ancient truths and infinite kindness. Transformation, he said, is not a destination, but a journey through the cycles of suffering, awareness, and awakening. His words lingered in the air, their depth transcending the limits of language, weaving into the fabric of our beings. The disciples bowed deeply, their gratitude boundless, their commitment to the practice renewed by the Buddha's infinite compassion and wisdom. As the moon rose high above, its light silver and serene, I walked away, my heart lightened, my spirit awakened. The Buddha's teachings echoed within me, guiding each step, each breath, each thought toward liberation. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.